I'm Gary Erickson.
And I'm Tyler Hogue.
We became best buds through the heavy music scene.
And now we're doing a podcast, breaking down our favorite bands, albums, and shows.
This is All Consuming Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to the deep dive episode on Hevel by Bloodlines.
Yeah, I'm so stoked to do this. Like, we're just so excited to talk about the songs in depth that we're here recording right after we did the discussion, and we're both stoked to just get this dialed up. Dude,
So let's do it.
Let's go. The first track on the EP Hevel is Lotus.
I will get the obvious out of the way. I love the way that he just yells Yahweh.
Just screams
and
it, man.
Boom, punching and throwing elbows. Like, here we go. Like, I don't know, 10 seconds in and we're already throwing down.
You know, is there a better way to like start an album than just screaming Yahweh? You know, if you had any doubt if this band is Christian or not, like, they started off and just boom, punch you, say Yahweh. I love how like the cymbals go, and it's just so heavy, right? And lyrically, like, we're gonna talk about this a lot. Their lyrics are super awesome, man.
It's like reminiscent of For Today, Sleeping Giant kind of stuff. I feel like the torch has been handed off. Yeah, I love their lyrics. It's like, I'm trying to think of like an analogy or something, but I can't. But just the way that they're like unashamed about it. And it's like very in your face, you know. I will spend my days declaring your name. I will suffer all for the sake of your word. Like, dude, like, that's not a metaphor. That's so literal. And I think that's what's super awesome. Like, this is like a worship song.
It really is. And I absolutely love, we talk about the heaviness all the time, but like the cleans, like, I absolutely love the chorus. I love how the cleans are done. I think it's super like awesome addition to this band. And it is kind of reminiscent of, I do think For Today is a decent comparison. But even, man, these cleans they're just so great. They're perfect. And the chorus, the idea of this lotus, right? This flower, this like withering away, like us. Mm-hmm. We're not permanent. We're getting older. Our bodies are decaying in a sense, like, and everything will come to an end, but God stands firm. What will they say when I've withered away? Beneath the breath of God, will all things fade? Will all things fade? When they remember me, will they see that I knew your name and you knew mine? And I like how they kind of talk about, I mean, they don't use the words, but they talk about legacy, right? Like, when I die and fade away, like, you will remain, but like, will they know that you were mine and I was yours? I mean, I feel like that's a sermon series that whenever it happens, like, I feel like it grips me, or, you know, I pay really close attention because, you know, when you die,
like your salvation, your faith does not pass on to other people. And so when they say like, when I die, will they see that I knew your name and you knew mine? And they say like, when they die, like your word remains, but I fade away. And that's such a true thing. And it's not thought about very often, like we are not permanent on this earth, just like a lotus. We're going to fade away, but God will not.
This idea, yeah, man, like this idea of like legacy is crazy to think about, and it grips me too, like to a point of like anxiousness sometimes. Like this is such a weird story, but this last Sunday at church, my wife and I were leading the children's ministry for the preschoolers, and like we show this, it's like called the Gospel Project, and so we show this like video, and there's like kind of a lesson or whatever, and it was on the first sin and all this stuff. But then after the lesson, right, there's this like mission portion, and to these preschoolers it showed like the mission of these the people that go in. It's like the movie The End of a Spear. Do you remember that movie where they go into like this jungle, there's like this tribe, and just to proclaim the name of Christ, and they all die, right? And so we're showing this to like preschoolers, and in my mind I'm like, what the heck? But like that story grips me, man. Like knowing you're gonna go to these people who haven't heard Christ, who don't know Jesus, and you're going there to share the gospel, and they could be hostile back towards you, and they were to these people to the point of killing them. But that legacy that they had, even though they died, people went there and continued to share Christ, and a lot of people now in that tribe have come to become believers. Right? And it's awesome. It's really cool, but like that's what it comes down to is when we pass away, like what are they going to remember? They're going to hopefully remember that we were servants of God.
Yeah. I know that this isn't, we're going on a rabbit trail for just a little bit longer. But I know this isn't in the song. But like there's like a lot of people, if you ask like, "Oh, are you a Christian?" they would be like, "Oh, I was raised Christian." Or like, because mom and dad were, they say like, "Oh yeah, I'm a Christian. Yeah, I'm Protestant. I'm Catholic." But that is not their faith. They're like borrowing their parents' name, right? But when their parents die, I mean, or even when you die, like it doesn't go anywhere. Like it's not a family tradition. It's not a tradition.
Yeah, and I think this song to start off the album, like message-wise and obviously musically, like it's a great start to an EP. And this whole EP for us, and we've talked about this in the discussion, like it's EP of the year for us, without a doubt. I mean, it's just so good. We love what these guys are doing, and it just is, it's so good.
Even musically alone, right?
Yeah.
Just the music is like right up there. And then you throw on these lyrics, and I feel like because we're Christians, it's like this is the EP of the year. And maybe if you're not a Christian, you're gonna be like, I don't know, the words don't mean anything to me, but the music's great. But so speaking of music on it, I really like how there's like 4 different vocals that these guys can do through this whole album. They got the screams, they have like a talking soft sing, a like wailing kind of like raspy sing scream, and then just like a sing, right? And they hit all 4 like on every song, and it feels so dynamic. And I really feel like it's because it's an EP that they were able to make these so great. Where if they had to do 10 songs, these might be cut in half with the same ideas, but I think because it was 5, it just feels so dynamic. And I mean, they have some that gets so heavy, which we're going to talk about soon. But yeah, and like what surprises me, and I think I'll bring it up in almost every song, is there's like a synth in the background, like some kind of keys and whatnot. And I'm not typically a person that likes them, but I really like the way that they do this to like give it an ambience and a feel for the whole album, not just the first song.
It meshes so well, and you said this during the discussion. It makes it feel really modern. This is modern metalcore. This is modern hardcore, whatever you want to call it, right? Like,
Yeah, what do we call it?
I don't know, man. I'd say metalcore still.
I'm gonna go with hardcore.
Hardcore,
Post-hardcore.
post dadcore, hardcore, emo core.
Post hardcore.
But the thing is, like, and it to define it's kind of tough because they do have all these electronic stuff. They got like, these trap beats that go behind it. They have, like you talked about, the synth, and it just is done so well, And I think if we keep talking about this, we're gonna spend all of our time talking about one song, dude. So we should probably move on to the next track, Devil.
Son of man, sing this funeral song for the king of fire. Give them his message from the suffering Lord. Let me see you fall down to the place of the dead, down to its lowest depths. Fall down to the place of the dead, down to its lowest depths. You were the model of perfection. You were made with every precious thing, and all for the sake of pride. You breathe life into the knowledge of sin. All you found were religious traditions and
So we just talked about how they use this synth to make ambience and a feeling in each song, and this one starts off kind of creepy, kind of dark, and it's a song about getting the devil killed.
Yeah.
Tyler, what is your initial impression? You love this song. You said it was your favorite.
It's by far my favorite, and like diving into the lyrics too, it just like I like it even more. It feels like, and I don't know if this is really like how they meant to write it, but it's almost a conversation with the devil, or talking to the devil. And it's interesting. I really like all the lyrics, but I love when it starts talking about in verse 2, all you've sown are religions, traditions, and doctrines of man. You're a pointless endeavor. And it just keeps going on and just talking about it. And then the chorus like comes back, and I love this chorus. And it says, I'll never sell my soul. I know I'm worth so much more. Then chorus ends and says, I'll never sell my soul to the devil. And it's just really cool to like go from Lotus, okay, which talks about withering, what's going to be our legacy, to like during our life, right? Lotus was after our life. What's going to happen? What are we going to be remembered for? And Devil's like, all right, we're standing firm in the truth of a sovereign Lord, not the devil.
Yeah.
So I love the lyrics. My initial impressions, the music is amazing, but the lyrics are what really keep me here for it being my favorite song.
And it's just so angry.
So angry. Yes.
Yeah, so I like the music a lot. I think it's crazy that like you listen to the song, you go like, this is their heaviest song. But like if you listen, like it's like there's not a lot going on.
No.
Like the main instrument is their voice.
Yes.
Like there's barely any sound. There's like a gentle guitar most of the time that's just like picking away. It's so quiet. It's just like digga 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 digga, and the whole time he's just screaming through it, right? And I mean, until the chorus comes in where it's like more of a standard catchy hook.
Yeah.
I'll never sell my soul. I feel like we talk about this on some of our favorite albums that we've talked about, is how there's space in the music.
Yes.
Like they're not just playing a sound because they don't know what else to do. And they do it on this whole album where you'll just like randomly hear like these 3 picks of the guitar in between a verse. And It's like, that's so cool that they just squeeze this in, and it's just so small, but it's so big.
Yeah.
And they do that on this song so well. And, especially like when Brooke Reeves comes in, like it gives it a whole new feel of the song. And it's like, oh boy, this is stepping up. We're about to get heavier. And it just builds and builds all the way to the breakdown.
I love that you said like there's space. I think that's why I like it. How like I like the music like a ton, because you're right. The verses the space is there for the vocals to shine.
Yeah.
Right? And
it builds tension.
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
I think that's why it feels so heavy, because there's this tension line that's just building all the way until the break.
Right. And a lot of times in hardcore or metalcore, there can just be so much going on. Right? And
Looking at you, Phineas.
hey, don't diss Phineas. They're one of my favorite bands as of yesterday. Okay, we'll talk. Phineas is another time. We're going to talk about Phineas at some point. Okay? Yeah. But like, there's so much space for the vocals to shine. And you're so right. This song is the heaviest song, but it isn't. And I think it's because the space and the vocals are so angry, and the vocals are the main driving force of this song.
I will split your lying tongue and devour your splendor. You will die the death of the slide, the final breath of your dying reign. I sleep with one eye open, 'cause I know you are a lion who wants to watch me fall. I am immortal, and you're a burning angel.
Gosh. And truthfully, when Brooke does come in, that's just like the angriest vocals ever, man. Like,
yeah,
the way
he comes in
says
twice, right? He has that first one where it's like it's a verse, right? And
yeah.
He's like, and you're a burning angel.
Well, he comes in earlier than that.
Does he?
Yeah.
No, he does the whole, like, I sleep with one eye open.
That's him, right?
That's the first verse, yeah.
Yeah, so the bridge, Brooke comes in, man, and it's just like an angry, like, impending doom, feel to it. Like, I sleep with one eye open because I know you are a lion who wants to watch me fall. I am immortal. And then he does that talk that you just did, and you're a burning angel. But, like, man, it's so good, and we love impending doom, like both of us. We love Brooke Reeves. He's awesome. And his guest vocals, whenever he's on songs, those songs are always like, have to listen to it. This might be his best feature.
You didn't even think about that before you said that, huh?
I didn't, but I'm all in, dude. Right now, I'm all in. This is his best guest feature on any song he's done.
That's a hot take, Tyler. I hope you get some flack.
I'm here, and the way that we get to the breakdown with Brooke and with their music and instrumentation is impeccable. The first time I heard this breakdown, I think I actually, like, and I said this before, I think I actually just stopped what I was doing, mowing my lawn. Just stopped. And just, it's one of those, you remember it, like the first time you heard it, how it affected you. And it was so heavy and so, like, spine tingling, goosebump worthy. It just makes you think. And I can't even describe it, man.
I feel like in this song, he, like, transitions from impending doom Brooke Reeves to man of God Brooke Reeves.
Oh.
Just because the ending, has that trap music.
Dude, you're so right.
I know.
It does sound more like Man of God.
Yeah.
That's cool, though. I mean, I like that kind of, it fits well. Maybe that's why it stands out so much as a guest feature compared to what he's done before. Dude, but that it's so heavy. Just how I can't even, like, really come to grips when he comes in and says, "You are dead." And just, like, the music, again, a ton of space. Right? A ton of space. And it is awesome. You've got the trap music going. You've got just eerie synth and vocals. And so heavy, man.
Yeah. Brooke kills it on this track. Yeah. Like, not just his words, but he does, like, this breathing and grunting that's just brutal.
Yeah.
And it's almost like he's growling at you.
Yes.
And, and the trap music, I mean, even if you're not into EDM or anything, or trap music, I mean, I feel like it makes it so good. Like think of it like how Emery would outro some of their songs.
Yes.
Or even Under Oath, right? Old Under Oath. Well, we don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno. Yes, we still talk about Under Oath, dude. Get out of here.
Yeah, but it's such an easy way to remember the song because when it ends, it just ends so brutally. You have these goosebumps, and you're just like, you're lucky no one's near me because I would just fight them right now. And then the next song starts, and you're like, at least this one's called Colder, so I can like cool off, because man,
yeah,
I am pumped and ready to punch the devil.
So this piece, this breakdown, I knew I wanted to do something with it, and so I make a TikTok for it. Right, that's just my go-to, and so I made a TikTok of me sitting in my car, Monday morning, waiting for students to tell me all about their normal music throughout the week. And it's just this breakdown going hard in the background while I'm just staring off, drinking coffee, right? So I post on TikTok, and it gains a little traction. People think it's funny. And my buddy, who probably knows we have this podcast but doesn't fully know what it's about.
Define buddy. Is he like a regular friend?
Yeah, I mean, he's
an acquaintance.
Yeah, we hang out sometimes, but not like me and you, Gary. Come on.
Oh, good. I was just wondering if I should feel threatened.
No, but he texted me, and it was probably, I think it was the night I posted it, or maybe the night after, and he texted me, and he said, your face just showed up on my For You page. And the music behind it was absolutely crazy. Like, he had to, like, double take. He's like, what is going on? Right?
Your devil music?
And I'm responding, it's Christian music and stuff. He's like, dude, the song name is Devil. Right? And he hears this, like, Brooke Reeves grunting and all this stuff, and me just, like, staring off into space. He's like, what's happening to you, man? Do you need to talk? And so, like, that happened, and it's almost reminiscent, and I hate to say this, because it's not. The Lorna Shore breakdown, animal sound thing that people...
Pig squeals.
People got into. It kind of has a little bit of that feel, even though I'm not going to, like, fully say that's what it is. And if just out of context, and you're just listening to that part, it's eerie.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you say you're waiting to go to school and listen to kids share their music, and all they hear him screaming is... rot in hell. It's like, Tyler, is that how you feel about?
Absolutely not. But like it's interesting
prepping for Sunday school,
because out of context, like, yeah, it probably sounds bad, but in the grand scheme of things, like, this is an awesome song about standing up against evil.
So, shall we move on to the next song?
Let's go, man.
Next song is Colder.
I'm getting colder, reviving me away above my home. I'm getting colder. We're at the end of where does it still find rest? World is burning, never left its end. We're fighting fear and self-encapsulated now. We let anxiety become our wow.
With every breath I know death's getting closer. I'm suffocating and I'm getting colder. I feel the static of hate and deceit, and I'm getting colder.
And I'm getting colder.
So, I mean, this single came out like forever ago.
Yep.
Like almost a year ago. Like when this was announced and another single didn't drop for like 6 months, I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
Like, when will something happen? But I mean, I really like it. The vocals really pop.
Yes.
Even my wife likes this song
Whoa.
a lot. She likes the transitions from verses to chorus when they do that, the dun 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 pinch harmonic on the guitar. She's like, I like that whamp part. Do you hear that? I'm like, yes, honey, I hear that. But and when this first came out, I think we made a story or something that shared the song.
Yeah.
And some people like message us and like, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Right.
And some of them didn't like it. And they're like, I'm super worried about the direction that they're going.
Sure.
They used to be so heavy and this is so poppy and catchy. And I told them all, like, I love it.
Yeah.
Like, sure, it's a different sound. If you take this song all by itself out of this album and compare it to their other stuff, you're going to be like, this is way different. But I don't know. This is a very well done song. It has a great mix and production.
Yes.
And I mean, when I first heard this, I was super impressed, and that's when I was like stoked for this album.
You might not like this, and I think this is a compliment. What I get from this song, the first time I heard it, I thought this could be a track on Dark Skies by Fit for a King.
Huh.
I get the, like, I totally feel that, like, Fit for a King vibe where you have, like, these, heavy screaming verses. You get your breakdown, super awesome screams. But the choruses are big. You got that soft pre-chorus, and the chorus in this song is just big, right? And you feel it, and I really like it. I like how they do that, but it just gives me these, like, Fit for a King vibes.
I get that. I do. Because it's like, it could be the production style of it or something like that, like Dark Skies. Yeah. And I think it could be maybe not just the tuning, but like the feel and the vibe of it. And like, I'm actually quite surprised that you said that, because I didn't think of that. And I mean, it's spot on.
Dude.
Have you been listening to Dark Skies recently?
I mean, I listen, not necessarily Dark Skies, but I mean, Fit for a King's always in my playlist, dude. What was released before? It was Hostile Minds.
Yeah. So two years later, they drop a single, and this is the single that got them on Face Down. So,
and it is different. If you look at, listen to Hostile Minds and Colder, I could see how you could look at it and say, this is a big change. Right? And I'm totally with you, Gary. Like, I love this type of stuff. And yeah, it's kind of produced, but I think that's awesome, right? I think it's the progression of what makes bands awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, and we said this before, if you've got a dude in your band that can clean sing like that, do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I don't get why everybody thinks that every band has to be the heaviest band. Like, who's got the best breakdown? Who's got the heaviest? And I think that's why deathcore is really popular right now.
Yeah.
It's just like this growing trend of what's the heaviest out there. And people forget, like, man, we were into music before it was super heavy.
Yeah.
Early Under Oath, like our Under Oath episode, we were talking about it before and after we recorded, and we're like, I can't believe we used to think this was so heavy. Like, this was just so awesome when he screams. And then, like, listening back, like, if it came out today, people would be like, what, is this Amberlin? Like,
yeah, exactly.
This is not heavy, But at that time, we're like, man, it's so edge, and it's, like, heavy and, pushing boundaries. And I feel like people are too afraid to come back from those really heavies and get melodic. Yeah. And I get, I like my deathcore bands to be deathcore. Sure. So I would be upset if they stepped away from that. But, I mean, I feel like these guys have found something unique and new to them.
Yeah, they found their identity, right? And I think we talked about that before. It just feels like their sound has been discovered by them. They do all these types of things, but it really just feels like the band members, like, really work well together. You've got all these different dynamics. Like, there's nothing better than a band that can do these types of songs and then also do Devil, the track before, right? And have all these different type of sounds because they're so talented, right? And they mesh well, and it feels like, just from listening to the EP, and I have no idea, it feels like they like doing this, right? Like they had fun doing this, you know? And so I'm totally down for Colder. I'm down for all these songs, man.
So transitioning to talk about lyrics.
Yeah.
I really like this song, and I think it's something that Christians often pray about, you know, feeling numb, feeling colder. And like there's a verse that he sings where he almost talks and says, you know, with every breath I know death's getting closer. I'm suffocating and I'm getting colder.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel the static of hate and deceit, and I'm getting colder. You know, it's like he's getting numb, and like he's wanting. Later on, there's other lines about him like wanting to love others.
Yeah.
But you know, and then it jumps in. I think the chorus is like reviving me away above my own. I want to close the space between us. And like it's such an awesome, like, I don't know, like a prayer. Like I feel like if you're really having a hard time, even just feeling apathetic or like feeling cold towards people, like lyrically, like this is so relatable.
I'm getting colder. I feel the static of hate and deceit. And I'm getting colder.
And I'm getting colder. Reviving me away above my own. I wanna close the space between us. Can you? Reviving me away above my own. I wanna close the space between us. Can't take.
So hard, like looking at, you know, I feel some of these things too in these lyrics, like these ideas of, you know, anxiety. And I love the line. It might even be the last line of the song. I think it is. How do I pray for peace with a closet full of skeletons? Not the last line of the song, but of that bridge towards the end. And I think that's like true, is like we look at all these things that have happened to us in the past or that we're currently going through, depression, being, you know, like you said, colder towards people, anxiety, and all these things that as human beings every single day weigh down on us.
Yeah.
And so how can we pray for peace when we're dealing with all of these things that's chaotic? And obviously the answer is that God is bigger than all of that. That even though this world is tough and it's not going to get easier and we're just one day closer to death and getting colder, God is not that. God is the opposite, right? And that's where our hope is.
Yeah, I really like the breakdown in the bridge.
Yeah.
And where he's talking about that, right? He says, I can't tame this feeling. Make it fade away. Or I'll take my demons to my, or he says, to my. You know, awesome breakdown. It hits hard and it builds into what Tyler was talking about with that next line and back into that catchy chorus.
Yeah. I think it does show. We talk a lot about Brooke on the last track, but I think this does show that the vocalist in Bloodlines, like, he's good. He's really good. And he has range too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want it to seem that we're like, oh my gosh, this EP is amazing because Brooke was on one song. Like, I really love the screams, and I love how their vocalist is also super talented. And he holds out that scream, and it's pretty brutal, man.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to the next song. Is that cool?
Uh-huh.
All right. Track 4 is Rua.
Walks my brother yard with the voice of truth. He who searches the Father. Let us speak, only in spirit, with a humble heart. works are dead. Your faith is meaningless. Reveal yourself.
Let your spirit move, and let your children sing and cry.
So I really like how this song starts out.
Me too.
Kind of similar to Yahweh, but he
Yeah.
says "ruh," like super fast, right?
Yeah.
And I like the way it starts. How it's kind of a like faded, distorted type guitar to start with, and I like right away I feel like I already know the whole song.
Yeah.
But my favorite part in that like first minute is in that verse. He gets like, I don't know, 3/4 the way through, and he just like stops. He's like screaming kind of fast, and he just stops, and he's like, "Your works are dead.
Yes.
Your faith is meaningless." Like, and it's like a overlapped vocals, right? So you have like his scream, and you have like this really low, angry scream
Yeah.
with it at the same time.
So cool.
And it just like it hits hard right there, and I just really like how they kind of jump out the gate with like this really heavy, hardcore-ish song.
Dude, I love that too. And I think that's a great description. It feels like a hardcore song, just like the pace of the lyrics too. Like the way that he screams that first verse. But when he takes that pause, like you're talking about, and he says your works are dead, and it's like this breakdown, you get some like laser pew 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 sounds, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and man, that part's so good, and just you get your head going too. Like when that part hits, you're like, man, that just it's perfect. The song's heavy. Like it's hard to say. Like I want to say "Devil" is the heaviest song, but like we talked about, I mean, musically, there's a lot of pieces that aren't like super heavy. I think this throughout's really heavy.
Yeah. I mean, the chorus is pretty catchy.
Yep.
A lot of clean vocals. I do like that like synth electronic thing they have in the background. That's like wubby 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 wubby.
Yeah, no,
You know?
for sure. These lyrics are ones where you reflect and like just speaking to God, right? About all the just reveal yourself and all these things in your life. And to me, like I get kind of a little, I don't want to say this, but a little watery eyes when the chorus hits. I don't know why. I don't know why, but for some reason, like it just like resonates with me.
Your spirit move, and let your children sing and cry.
Spirit come and fill this place.
Reveal yourself, breathe again.
You are everything. You are everything.
And it just fits well. And I think they do a great job of going from that like super soft chorus, you could say, to then going back into super heavy verses.
Yeah, these lyrics are very, worship driven. I really like how in the first verse it talked about humbling yourself before the Lord and all this, and he jumps in that breakdown to kind of get your attention. That's like, your works are dead, your faith is meaningless. Like, reveal yourself, not a capital Y, but you, human, reveal yourself. And then when in the chorus, he's saying, reveal yourself to God, breathe again in us. You are everything. And the song's called Ruah, which means, breath of life.
Right.
And so it really like builds into all this. But as a kid, I grew up going to Pentecostal churches.
Yeah.
And so like this is what we talked about. This is what we prayed for before worship service. This is what our worship songs had was, talking to the Spirit and asking them to come into this place and impact lives and act now. Like I love that kind of worship environment.
Me too. And like I think sometimes, we don't really talk denominations on here at all or anything like that, but sometimes in churches like that I'm a part of too, like you look around and like you're getting into the worship, like it could be a hymn from the 1700s or something, but like the lyrics are hitting you and you want to put that hand in the air and just be like, you know, or whatever. But you look around at the rest of the people in the congregation, at my church at least, and it's like, I don't know if I want it. Nobody's doing it. You know,
supposed to put your hands in your pocket while you're worshiping.
You know, and I think sometimes we miss out on this, right? We're so afraid of being like too charismatic that we just lose all like the important stuff of having this conversation with God and really just like opening up and being genuine. Right?
Yeah.
And so there's like this balance, like some people are so afraid of the other side, this legalistic side. Other people are too afraid of the super charismatic side, and like both have to be there. And so I absolutely agree with you. Like this atmosphere for worship is what we should strive for.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. You know, and like the prayer, I don't know why I laughed at that, but the prayer where it starts off Father God, like I'm a Father God guy. I don't know. Like when I pray, that's how I always start it. So I relate with this. I'm
a baby Jesus guy.
No, you're not. No, you're not. No, I really am though. I'm like, you know, every time I start a prayer, I just have it in me to say like Father God. I don't know why. I don't know when that started for me, but that's how I pray. Do you have something like that?
We should do a poll and see what everyone's is. I'm a Lord guy. I say Lord.
Lord. Yeah. I don't know why I say Father God.
I don't know. I've never really thought about it.
Me either until this, and I saw it. I was like, dude, that's how I pray. Let's go. You know?
Yeah, I love the way that he gets into that bridge with that.
Breath of God.
And at that point, like after he does that scream, it's so quiet. All you have really is like the drums, slowly hitting stuff, and wubby 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 wubby.
Yep.
Weird electronic sound and a chug 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 occasionally on the guitar. But I love that. And after that break, he says Rua again, but he rolls his R, and it's like, he's screaming Rua, like rolling his R, and it's super cool sounding.
I really like how he says Rua or screams Rua too. Like it's so heavy and it's electronic, and if I didn't have the breakdown in Devil at the end of Devil, I'd say this is the best breakdown of the EP. So it's the second best breakdown in my opinion of the EP.
Sweet. Would you say it's the second heaviest song of the EP?
No, I think this might be the heaviest song.
I agree completely. Shall we move on?
The last song on this brilliant EP.
Hevel.
With burning eyes I look up and I'm blinded by the sun, drifting through my thoughts and finding I've been overcome. Is this the end? Chasing after winds of change, I focus on the sound. Have I dwelt in madness, and have you just called me out? Hear the wind.
Okay, so I think Hevel, the song, is the softest song on Hevel, the EP.
I completely agree.
But I also think it is a really, really good song.
It's my favorite song.
I knew it was your favorite, and so I'm going to let you dive into this first.
Oh, where to begin? So I think what really sets this apart is I think it's an inverted version of all the songs on this album.
Dude, I have that exactly written down.
The verses are singing. The choruses
Yes.
are the breakdowns in the heavy.
Absolutely.
And I love the way that it builds like that. And I have some of my favorite songs ever that are that style, like Demon Hunter's I Play Dead.
Sure.
All the verses he sings and the chorus screams.
Yeah.
And it just, the verses spend the whole time on this song, you know, building to the chorus, and then the chorus relaxes back into the verse and builds into the chorus. And I just really like that feeling. And man, the clean vocals, like, it's just soothing with the music. I don't know, it's right up my alley. It's my jam.
Yeah, I wrote the exact same thing. I love that it switches soft verses, heavy chorus. And the verses, like, let's be absolutely clear, they're extremely soft.
Yes.
Like, we got,
it's not his singing, it's his like gentle
yes,
talk, sing. Like,
and the guitars are clean, and then towards like the end it kind of builds a little bit of the end of the verse, you know, you start hearing the guitars and stuff like that. But the chorus, man, I talked about the last song on Rua, how I get all watery eyed reading those lyrics and singing those lyrics. This one's even more so, man.
yeah, dude, yeah.
Like, just thinking about it right now is kind of getting me. I gotta read it, like, and the way that it goes back and forth too. You know, you have the heavy vocals come in, and the way that the clean vocalist kind of wails, "I'm no longer a slave but a son."
Yeah.
And then you have a heavy scream right behind it, "No longer a slave but a son." It doesn't get much better than that. So the chorus, it reads this. It says, "I've been reconciled by the blood. I am no longer a slave, but a son. I have been redeemed. No death to sting. I'm no longer a slave, but a son." And that hits hard, man.
I've been reconciled by the blood.
I'm no longer a slave but a son.
No longer a slave but a son. I have been redeemed. No death to sin.
I'm no longer a slave but a son.
No longer a slave.
I think why so a lot of us Christians love it
Yeah.
is that not only is it like musically interesting, but it's like reaffirming what we believe with his wailing, like, you know, "I'm no longer a slave but a son."
Yeah.
And then the scream saying the same thing is like a double affirmation of like,
Sure.
darn right, that's what we believe, you know, like, and like, it's just it's a well-made like chorus, because it's not just music and it's not just words, it's words on top of words that is
Yeah.
backing itself up with emotion, you know. And yeah, I love the chorus. I love the second verse.
Yeah.
He says, "I can't comprehend the way you look at me and say, you will never blame me for the man that I have been. The old man is dead. You reconcile my symphony of terror, fear, and dread. Beckoning the sun, I am to come alive instead. Hear the sound of grace, my identity found."
Yeah.
I just love that. Like this whole song is about grace and salvation, and just that feeling of like being forgiven for the old man that we have been,
Right.
who's now dead. And as they say, you know, coming alive, being reborn. And man, I get goosebumps whenever I hear it. Even just reading that.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I want to listen to the song again instead of talking about it.
And yeah, the idea of, you know, all these things we've talked about before in the EP, you know, you have this prayer to God in Rua, and you have in Lotus this idea of like, what's my legacy going to be, and Devil, you know, the world pushing you and not selling your soul to the devil. Then you have in Colder, like how all these like the weight of the world is pressing down on you. Like all these things kind of like build up, I think, to Hevel, this very end song, this idea that God has saved us. God has redeemed us, and we're no longer a slave to sin. We're death cannot hurt us. And I think like what you could do is you could take each of these lyrics and go find the Bible verses where they come from, and there would be so many. This song is so biblically centered. It's crazy, man, to even think about.
It's awesome. Lyrics are spot on. Music is spot on. Dudes are spot on. Yeah, and that breakdown, quote unquote, you know, it's like very mild, and you know, the song just kind of fades out at that.
But this is how they end it, and I think what we love about them, obviously the music's awesome, but what we love is, and you've kind of said this before, we've had bands like that we were in, you know, high school and college and whatever, the Sleeping Giants and For Todays and all these bands that were so outspoken and Christ-centered and just proclaiming the gospel with no shame, right? They're unashamed sharing it.
Yeah.
And we felt like we haven't had that in a while, and Bloodlines is not ashamed, man. Like they're going to say Jesus' name. They're going to say Yahweh. They're going to say God and grace and all these types of things. They're going to preach through their songs. And you can tell that these dudes, their mission is to share the gospel.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's just awesome. Cool.
Yeah, I feel like there's an upswing in Christian bands right now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a race to see who, you know, makes it, I guess. There was, you know, a few years ago, more than a few years ago, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, bands just started dropping off the whole Christians label, you know, and like everyone's like, oh, I wish For Today was back. I wish this band was here. Well, people are stepping up now, and they're like, I wanted that to happen too, so I did it.
Right.
I started a band. We made this music, yeah, it's really awesome to see, and I really like, you know, doing this podcast now, because like we get to talk to lots of bands and chat with dudes on Instagram and stuff about their new music, and I'm really excited to see like what Jesus does in this heavy scene in the next few years.
Me too. And we love all types of bands, right? Like we are all for bands that maybe their mission isn't to just share the gospel. Maybe their mission is just to make music and whatever it is. But they're Christian dudes or whatever it is. We love those bands. But there's something about this that there's a spot for bands that are proclaiming the gospel. There is a spot for them. And Bloodlines, man, it gets me so excited to just hear a band be like this.
Yeah.
So that wraps up our deep dive on Hevel by Bloodlines.
If you like what we're doing and you want to support us, join our Patreon, buy us a cup of coffee. That money goes towards us doing editing software and recording and buying our mics and hopefully having more giveaways and stuff like that. And, you know, join our Discord if you want to like talk to us every day and be part of our community. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook.
Absolutely.
Whatever.
Until next time. See you guys.
Thank you for listening.